So I write magic realism and literary fantasy, but my day job is that I work for a university in London, and I work in a scientific research institute. So I work with hardcore scientists. I work with people who actually change the face of medicine and research. And I spend all my spare time writing about, you know, 40-pound house cats and, witches and genetic mutations and anything else. It's funny because I'm not a huge sci-fi fan. I'm not a massive fantasy fan myself. I mean, of course, there's like the biggies, like Lord of the Rings. Oh, yeah, it blew me away. And I do sometimes I read some genre stuff. I like a good witch book if it's a good witch book. I like a ghost story. Um, but really, I'm not a huge, like, invent like another planet kind of reader, or anything like that. But I will say that the only way that I seem to be able to get across my truth about this real world is to bring in some very, very unreal things, largely to me as metaphor, but it seems to work for me if I actually fully step into that world um, rather than just use it. I think a lot of it for me started off as figurative language, and then one day I just went, well, why? Like, take out the like or as, like, make it a werewolf, make it that, that your genes are literally speaking to you. You know what I mean? Your GENES, not your JEANS. Although, why not? Why not have your clothes talk to you? Why not? Why not you let your accessories just, go to town? Is that the things that occur to you that you are the most afraid to let the world know about you, the things that you think make you really weird, are also the things that make you, are going to sound like an after TV school special, make you special. But they do. I think that a writer's job is to put a piece of writing into the world, and yes, in terms of quality and all those other things, but I really think that at the core of all of that, while we're trying to hone our skills, while we're trying to become better at, craft, is to do what no one else can do. Your job as a writer is to write what no one else can write. And when you hit upon that, when you embrace it, when you hit upon it, first of all, it's terrifying. It's that kind of, yeah, I think all writers, no matter how realistic your writing might be, all of us have that kind of that scary feeling in the beginning of writing, especially, where you think, well, what if people think it's me? What if people know it's me? How much are they going to read into it? And even when you get beyond that, the first time you start to actually put your work out there, you do start to think to yourself, well, what if my boss sees it? What if my mother sees it? What if they recognize themselves in it? And then you get to the point where actually you're handing it to your boss, you're handing it to your mother, and you're just like, yeah, yeah, you probably influenced that. You're probably in there somewhere, but, love me anyway. And, they do. Or you hope they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe you're watching this and you're just thinking, shut up, because my family hates me, and F you. And so the thing is that, somewhere in this process you have to free yourself. You must free yourself to write whatever you want to write. And I think that is supposed to feel scary. It's supposed to feel a bit, because otherwise, I don't know, if you've been lucky enough to be this wild free spirit who's been embraced for being who you are all of your life, that's a fantastic thing, and bully for you. But I didn't grow up in that world. I grew up in the world where I was on the outside, where I was the strange one, where I was the one who didn't seem to be able to conform, to fit in. And, sure, of course, I had friends, and I've, parties and boyfriends and the whole thing, I've been there, but I've also spent a lot of time trying to kind of find my niche. And weirdly, that there's a lot of pain involved in writing, and some of that pain is about accepting yourself. Some of that pain is about discovering yourself. Some of that pain is about the stuff that you do looking inward, or something you've written, it unleashes something in you. I've heard this fantastic thing when I read one time, and I'm sorry because I should be quoting somebody and I have no idea who said it, but no tears for the writer, no tears for the reader, no laughter for the writer, no laughter for the reader. And I think that, if I'm writing a sex scene, I have to be, I better get turned on, because if I'm not getting turned on writing that sex scene, it's not a good sex scene. If I'm writing a scene where somebody important dies, if I need to either be crying in the creation of it or crying in the editing of it or something, because if it's not making me feel, it's not making you feel. And so in that process of creating emotion and all of those other things, I think that if I want to invite you into my book, And I want my book to say to you, be yourself, really be yourself, be the self that you're afraid the world will not accept. Then I have to be the self that I'm afraid the world will not accept, because my characters are that self. My characters are that girl, that woman. And I think that in some sense, I don't know. I mean, I can't say what the future is, but what I have been compelled to write about for the last 20 years have been about being that sort of semi-marginalized person who has tremendous worth and has tremendous value and finds that value despite the fact that they're going against societal, norms. And so I suppose that's what I create. That comes from my experience. That's what I have to encourage people out there. I've got a writing group that I've mentioned before, a group of people I'm incredibly close to, went through my MA with. And we are all as different from one another as human beings can be, and then we all have this current of sameness that runs through us in terms of being a sort of type, as different as we are, a type that probably nobody who wasn't a writer would be able to pick out. But there's a sort of sensitivity, a kind of like ferocious passion for language, and this is the only group of people in my world that I can sit around and fight over the choice of a word with for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We can argue about a comma, about, usually it's not at the level of a comma, although, comma counting has happened in my writing group, and and I love that. Our day jobs are often not in keeping with the desperate desires of our heart. And sometimes that feels soul destroying, but I also have to say that I think that's a good thing. I think that the way to look at that is to know that you are being driven to write by the thing that you actually do. If you get so sick of doing whatever it is that you do to keep a roof over your head that you run home to your writing, that you have a notebook with you, that you've got your laptop with you, your pad, whatever it is that you're kind of, I can't wait to get back to what I'm doing. I can't wait to get back to my world. You're cycling home, and there's all these things going on around you, but you're thinking about your world and your character and what happened to so and so here and there and how they've interacted, and oh my God, I didn't realize they were going to fall in love or crash their car or whatever it's going to be. Then maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not such a bad thing. And I'm saying this because I know how ridiculously hard it is to have your body here and your heart somewhere else entirely, to wish with your whole self that you were writing full time. And and I can just offer this one thing. It's this one thing that kind of keeps me going, is that I believe that when it is right for me to have that, I will have that. I believe that my job now is to be that diamond that just gets pressurized, 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 and forces me. There's nothing else in my life that I have fought for as hard as being able to have the pressure on my life that I do and still write a book. And I think that that pressure actually makes it a better book. And that pressure, it makes me feel a bit crazy. And so I need people who are a bit like me. And I wanted to do this channel because I know that all of you who live like this need that group of people, and a lot of you don't have it. If you're somewhere remote, or if you are too busy to take a writing class or to take a workshop, then you know this loneliness, this strange lack of understanding, and I just want to offer some words of encouragement. So all I can say is, you know, my my everyday life does not match up with my internal world at all. And I've chosen to view that as a good thing. I've chosen to view that as the thing that propels me to keep creating that world, because I know that I want to leave something behind me when I am no longer of this earth, and that I want that thing to be, a catalog of writing that I'm proud of, that nobody else but me could have written. Right. So go and be and write the thing that only you can write, and write it well. Write it from the very, very, very depth of who you are as a unique person. Be that thing that you're afraid to be. Be that thing that you're afraid to be, and be it on paper. Put it in there. Let your character say it. If you're afraid to say it, let your character say it. If you're afraid to do it, have it happen to them. Make your world in print, because that's why this gift has been given to you. That's why it's there. So at any rate, that's what I've got to say about day jobs. Nothing about the job itself, because you know, just do it because you know you have to keep a roof over your head and you have to pay your bills. But always, always keep that fire burning. Always, like, you know, whether you have to, you know, on your lunch breaks, like sneak in some reading or some writing or whatever it is. My personal career history has included fast food industry, department store, psychiatric hospital. I am a certified ophthalmic assistant. I'm a massage therapist, also certified. I've got a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in creative writing, which at least fits into why I'm talking to you. We're lost personality-wise or something. Some of this may actually be true. Maybe that's who we are.